I should start by saying that while this is supposed to be in the form of an audio documentary, it's not really true. This is a documentary from a world where instead of sending a teacher up in the Space Shuttle Challenger, NASA instead sent Big Bird, the Sesame Street character. This might seem an odd decision, but it was something that was actually proposed in our timeline, so a story where Big Bird did fly in the Challenger is possible. So welcome. This year is the 37th anniversary of the Challenger disaster, and Big Bird's passing. We all remember January 28th, 1986. Many people were there in person or watching on TV, and those of us born after grew up in the shadow of the Challenger disaster. But what were the specific details? What actually went wrong? And why was there an 8-foot-tall yellow bird in the space shuttle? The story of the Challenger disaster starts over 10 years before that fateful day, with the development of the SRBs, or solid rocket boosters, that carried the space shuttle into orbit. These were created by Morton Thiokol, a company that had started with working on rubber and related chemicals before transitioning into rocket propulsion systems. They had worked with the military and NASA before, producing the solid propellant for systems like the AIM-9 Sidewinder air missile. They were awarded the contract to construct the SRBs on November 20th, 1973. These were the first systems to ignite and carry the shuttle off the launch pad, so their functioning was especially important. However, part of their design was to be disassembled and reassembled for transportation, which required the motor cases to be split into 11 parts, with 11 places where a joint could go wrong. The connection system at the joint that failed during the disaster was a pair of O-rings with sealant between them. Honestly, the specifics of this are beyond today's recording, but something was wrong with the O-rings, and the engineers were aware of it. Multiple tests were performed, and the results were said to be satisfactory by Morton Thiokol and NASA, despite the reservations of NASA engineers. All in all, the O-rings failed, which led to the catastrophic events that led to the deaths of all crewmates, including Big Bird. And here our story shifts, from the technical history behind the disaster to the story of Big Bird. Big Bird was an 8-foot-2-inch tall yellow anthropomorphized bird who was introduced in Sesame Street Episode 1 with the personality of a 6-year-old. The costume for Big Bird was full body, encasing his actor Caroll Spinney. It was only a combined 14 pounds, but because the head had to be held aloft with one hand, it was rather unwieldy. Given this, why did NASA decide that Big Bird of all people should go into space? Well, Big Bird is iconic. Ask any child that grew up in the United States, and they would know Big Bird. He remains well known even after his death through reruns and the occasional memorial episodes aired late at night for adults who grew up watching him on Sesame Street. Because of his popularity, NASA managed to fit him, with Caroll Spinney inside, into a spacesuit for takeoff. Unfortunately, that spacesuit could not save him from impact with the water. Spinney's remains were partially recovered from the wreckage, along with 23 yellow turkey feathers. And now we come to the legacy of this event. Companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin continue to send civilians to space. Sesame Street is still airing. So what has changed? Well, for starters, Big Bird is dead. The generations born after the disaster will never see a new Sesame Street episodes with Big Bird. But people move on, and even an entertainment staple as important and influential as Big Bird will be moved past. One day, parents will stop telling their kids the stories about this lost Muppet. One day, Big Bird will just be part of an annoying news article trying to appeal to a sense of nostalgia that is no longer there. But maybe, just maybe, his memory will still live on, and while our future is birdless, our past is not. Thank you.